Hi everyone, this is Miss Tom with another Math Minute. Let's make sure we practice these math minutes because they will help you with your procedural skills, and every day you do them, you will slowly start to improve and notice that the math is starting to get easier because these are all review problems. So go ahead and pause the video. We're going to unpause when you're ready to go over them. Alright everybody, welcome back. Let's go ahead and go over number 1. So we're solving for x in this case, so we've got 5x plus 4 is equal to 30. Keep in mind, we want to use that distributive property, go 1 by 1, 5 times x, 5x, 5 times 4, 20 is equal to 30. I'm going to draw that line. Notice that we can isolate the variable by subtracting 20. The reason why we're subtracting 20 is because the opposite of addition is subtraction. So then we're like, okay, that gets out. I'm going to draw a 0 pair, get out of here. And then we've got 5x is equal to 10. When you get to this point, figure out 5 times what number is 10? Well, if we figure that 5 times 2 is equal to 10, you're absolutely correct. You can also do this method where you divide by 5 and we get x is equal to 10 divided by 5, which is 2. Very nice. If you got that, give yourself a star because you're awesome. You got that right. Next, let's go over number 2. It says if 6 is equal to 1/3 of x, we've got to figure out something divided by 3 is equal to 6. That's a little tough to figure out. Maybe we do the opposite of division. Let's go ahead and do 6 times 3 is going to be what number? Well, 6 times 3, the reason why we're doing this is because we're kind of wanting to do the opposite of division. When I multiply this by 3, what I do to one, I do to the other. When I multiply this by 3, we're actually going to get this cancels out. We end up getting that x is equal to 18. Alright, if you got 18, give yourself a star. Nice work. Next, let's go over number 3. It says, if 3x plus 2x equals 60, what is x equal to? So we can combine 3x and 2x. 3x and 2x makes 5x. We're going to go that's equal to 60. We notice 5 times what number is going to be 60? 5 times 12. 5 times 12 is equal to 60. What you do to one side, you're going to do the other, so we can also show that by dividing by 5 from each side. So that 5 is equal, or x is equal to 12. Alright, let's continue. It says if x is equal to 2, 10x divided by x is equal to 10. Is that true? Now there's a number of ways of doing this. You can actually go ahead and substitute that 2 for the x's, where you see that x, you substitute the 2. Or you can notice, well, because there's an x divided by an x, and it's on not only the top, but it's on the bottom, the numerator and denominator, they can divide and actually equal to 1. You'll even notice that here, that 10 times 2 is 20, and divided by 2, that's going to be equal to 10. Sorry about that. I always hit my keyboard and then it gets to these zeros. So then that's going to be equal to 10, which we know makes this a true statement. All right, let's continue. Let's work on number 5 now. It says Jason travels 20 miles east and then turns around and goes 8 miles west. So how we want to think about this, and when you think of a compass, here's what you do. This is how I remembered it when I was little. We have north, east, south, and west. So when they're talking about the problem and they're saying that you travel 20 miles east, we know we're going this direction, forward. But then when it mentions that it goes west, we know west actually means going backwards. So that's kind of what's happening in this case. And I'm actually going to go ahead and write this as a numerical value. So 20 miles east really means that it's going forward. And when we are going 8 miles west, that's basically like we're going a negative distance backwards. So I'm going to put a negative distance backwards. So where would we be at? If we were 20 forward and then 8 backwards, we're going to be at 12 miles. All right, very nice. Next, we're going to go ahead and go over a little bit of review of integer signs. So a little bit about review of integer signs. It says a positive times a negative. I'm going to actually write it down. A positive times a negative here. Positive times a negative is going to be equal to, and you know what? I think it's probably better if we use colors here. So I'm going to change it up and I'm going to actually use colors. So a positive times a negative. A positive times a negative is going to be a negative. All right, give yourself a star if you got that one. Next one, it says a negative times a negative. A negative times a negative is going to be a positive. We talked about that before in the English language, how when you say, do not do this math minute, what does it mean? It means do your math minute. When you have two negatives together, even in the English language, it means the positive. And when I do not want you to do your homework, that's a negative thing. So a positive and a negative make a negative, but two negatives or a double negative is a positive. And those rules still apply when you're dividing. Multiplying and dividing are essentially very similar. They're just the opposites of each other, but they still follow the same rules. So when it says a positive, but this time it's divided by a negative, it's still the same idea. It is still a negative answer. And then again, it says a negative divided by a negative. Once again, a negative divided by a negative. Once again, a negative divided by a negative, that's going to be equal to a positive. One thing about mathematics is I want you to start noticing patterns here. Do you notice how these are unlike signs? It creates a negative. And then you're going to notice two signs that are the same creates a positive. All right, here we go. Last one. I'm going to split this into 3 sections just because there are 3 problems. So I'm going to leave myself 3 sections here to work with. So we've got the equation 4x plus 2. That's a linear equation. So we know x is going to be our inputs, or what goes in the machine, and y is going to be our outputs, or what goes outside of the machine. So we've got 4x plus 2 with an input of 2. So I'm going to write that over here, 4x plus 2, and then we have a specific output, y is equal to. So we go 4 times 2 is our input, plus another 2. We've got 4 times 2, which is 8, and 8 plus 2 is going to be equal to 10. So we've got y is equal to 10 in this first case. When we have the input of 2, we have an output of 10. Now let's go to the next one. What if we have an output of 6? How do we figure out the input? Well, this time I know y is equal to 6. And then this is what we have as our equation, 4x plus 2. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to split this equation. I'm going to notice that I can subtract 2 to both sides here. When you subtract 2 to both sides, you're going to notice the 2 and the 2. That goes out. So then we have 6 minus 2, which is 4. 4x is here. Then we're going to go ahead and divide by 4. We get x is equal to 1. Alrighty. So we've got x is equal to 1, which is here. And then again, we've got another problem with an output. This time our output is 18. So we're going to put that as our output. Here is our equation. We're going to do the same process. I'm going to split it. Notice that we can take away the 2 because the opposite of positive 2 is negative 2. You're going to notice this is a 0 pair, gets out. Then we've got 18 minus 2, which is going to be 16, is equal to 4x. And then lastly, we're going to divide both sides by 4. This one gets divided by 4. This one gets divided by 4. So we get x is equal to 16 divided by 4, which is 4. And that is the end of this math minute. Nice work on completing it. Great job if you followed me all the way through. If you just wanted to go over the solutions, I'm going to scroll up right now so you can see all of them. How'd we do? Did you guys do all right? Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time in the next Math Minute video.